Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing one more time. Welcome to another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. Filming this on a Thursday, August 13th. I'm going to shut it down for a minute, and then I'm going to go over to my employer's place, Del Mar College. There's some things that need to be filmed and explained over there. So I will be right back as soon as I get the proper number of seconds on this banner. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. I'm at Del Mar College. Here are the security gates that I'm going to talk about. They're going into a parking lot between the Venters building and the Garcia Science building. And I've been a little bit perturbed with this. We said that we can't get people and contractors in and out. I'm going to see, without a tripod, I can turn around and show you where those dumpsters are that they're using. Ripping out the air conditioning system, the ductwork out of Venters. It was all contaminated with mold, and it took me a while to convince these people, since they don't believe I know what I'm doing at all. And then I want to show you these barriers over here, and these could be moved very easily to get people in and out. Now, since I pitched a fit and the gates are fixed now, and they said that you couldn't get people in and out for contractors, then I don't know what the contractors are doing to get in and out now. So just want to enlighten you with that, and I'll be right back. I want to show you now what trash looks like when you don't have people that'll pick up trash on campus. This has been here roughly a week. So what I'm going to do, since I've documented this, is I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. I usually try to pick up any trash I can around here to help the poor porters out, because they're assigned to do everything under the sun around here. And there's some more down next to my building here. So I'll just go pick that up right quick, and then I'll be right back with some more information about this wonderful place. Okay, here's some insulation blowing around. What we do is, when we take all this stuff out of the buildings, when we switch out air conditioning ducts that are all moldy, we don't cover those up on the way out of the building. And then we just throw them in that big dumpster that I showed you a minute ago, and then it blows all over campus. And that's real healthy for everybody to have fiberglass insulation just blowing everywhere. Okay, since I'm on a tear, I may as well get these limbs and leaves and stuff that are always hanging down in the middle of the sidewalk, where we're paying, I think, roughly $12,000 to $13,000 a month for groundskeeping, and they can't trim a tree, and it doesn't appear that they can pick up debris and stuff as it falls out of these various different palm trees and so forth. So it's pretty much a mess. And if you look over here towards the admin building at the trees hanging over the sidewalk, then unless you're in a wheelchair or you're about 3 foot 6 inches tall, you're going to get slapped in the face with that stuff. So I don't know what's going on. I just wish that somebody in authority would come and take a look at some of this stuff and see how bad it is. Okay, I'm at eye level right now with this camera. I'm looking right down the stuff, so when I walk down this sidewalk, this is what I have to contend with. Okay, I've got that stuff blowing in my face and in my eyes. Okay, this is at the corner of the Garcia Science building. They dumped a whole bunch of stuff, it's been 2 or 3 years ago out here, this caliche. And there's a big hole right here closest to you in the bottom of the screen. And when people come out of this door and they try to cut across the edge of that, I've seen people stumble and fall. And there used to be the end of a sprinkler system head right there in that little V at the bottom of your screen. And I don't know if somebody's broken that off or what. But welcome to, I don't know why regents and administrators can't walk around and see this and correct this. I mean, this is what endears people, and want them to just run right over here to Del Mar College and see this garbage. Okay, here's another eyeball level down one of the other sidewalks right next to where I came through those palm fronds. So this is what you have to face when you're trying to travel around Del Mar College. Now, I'm all for Del Mar College. I've worked my butt off for this place for 26, 27 years. And I just don't appreciate this, okay? And as president of the Taxpayers Association, I really don't like it. So I'm going to go to another parking lot and show you how that one's looking. Okay, here's another piece of work. This is supposedly where you can put cigarettes in that tube and go down into a bath at the bottom that has water in it. And this is for the smokers outside, and you can see how well that's taken care of, with cigarette butts hanging out the top, and then they're on the concrete. You know, I think it's a real shame, and you know who's going to get the blame for this is going to be the porters around here, the 4 or 5 people who have to take care of all these campuses around here since we got rid of the custodial service and the groundskeepers. Anyway, I'll fuss some more in a little bit. Bye. I thought you'd see one more, like to see one more example of the way this place is kept up. This is another one of those cigarette things. The top's been removed, and we've got trash blowing around in the bottom of the base. So I don't know why we can't send somebody around and take care of this. I know that the porters are going to get the brunt of the attack on this, and they don't deserve that, folks. But there needs to be somebody walking around and at least trying to check on this stuff. I mean, we do have people that, you know, in this administration that could come and take care of things like this. But, you know, once again, I don't know if they're just trying to frustrate us or whatever, but nothing seems to be done, and when something doesn't get done, then the administration blames it on everybody else except themselves. And I just remember what President Truman said one time: the buck stops on my desk as the president. So maybe that'll give somebody over here at Del Mar a little hint. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I was asked by some of the faculty members and staff members if they'd come over here to a different parking lot and show you the one that comes in between the Richardson Auditorium and the Memorial Classroom building. And if you look real closely, I'll see if I can zoom in on this a little bit and hold it steady. But you can see what you have to drive over to get in here. And like I say, I didn't bring a tripod. And then I'll go and show you the condition of the parking lot itself. They have changed the sign and corrected the English from reserve parking to reserved. And I'll be right back. Let me show you some chug holes. What I think is real class are these chunks and stuff out of that speed bump, and then if you look up a little bit more, all that grass that's along that curb over there, where it disappears from red into the other. And then if you look out here at the end of this island, you've got grass everywhere there. You've got grass growing everywhere along these sidewalks and along the curves on this. And then if you look over here carefully, you can see those chug holes, and there's another big set down past that little gray car. So I'll go down there and show you some of that. But this parking lot is about 8 different layers and jobs for patching and so forth and so on. This is what they charge the general public to see, but this is what they're charging money to park in this parking lot, faculty and staff. And I think it's about time something needs to be done about it. Just another quick shot of how well grounds are kept around here for $13,000 a month. And we got dead bushes over here. I would think that the landscape people would be responsible for that, not the people here at Del Mar College, the poor porters they call them, that are being worked to death anyway. Yeah, this is a class act here. You know, I don't know why we pay these people. You know, they contract these people in and they don't do diddly. They just collect the paycheck. They're never too shy to pick that up. But I don't know why we have to put up with this mess. But look at this down along this way. Okay? I think anybody that walks out here that's an administrator should be red flagging that and saying, hey folks, somebody's going to get this stuff cleaned up. Multitude of chug holes in this one. I know this is spotty and so forth and so on, and I'm not holding this thing as steady as I should, but I'm trying. Here's another fine example of how we take care of things in this parking lot. And so I'll just let you gaze at that for a minute, and I'll keep traveling on. Some trip hazards out here, and we've got some more grass growing out of every corner and so forth and so on. Marvelous place. This is what the students and the visitors see when they come over here to either the Harvin Center or through this parking lot to go to Heritage Hall, Memorial Classroom, or Richardson Auditorium. So I think I've probably said just about enough to get everybody's hackles up over here. Now whether it'll do any good or not, that's my, you know, that's something I can't predict, folks. Hadn't worked so far. Now, just to end this out, there's some more branches hanging down that people can get slapped in the face with, especially at night. And I understand that this area has got some real severe problems with the lighting out here around the Harvin Center. That's the aquatic center that I'm filming across the way. I'm standing right by what is called Heritage Hall. So anyway, call your regent maybe and fuss a little bit, because I can't get the administrators to do it. And you know, I'm the Black Bart around here. I'm their Prince of Darkness, their worst nightmare around here when I point these things out. But as president of the Taxpayers Association, one more time, I'm fed up with it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Lights are on. The tape is rolling. I'm going to take my seat over here right quick and get this thing rolling. Today is the 18th of August. I know the banner said the 13th. That was the date that I went over to Del Mar College, and I've had some controversy over there about certain things in a parking spot and so forth. So thought I'd just enlighten you about a little bit about what goes on at Del Mar, or doesn't go on, whichever the case may be. So I'll go ahead and start with the film that I did over there. I hope the wind noise was not too bad for you. But we have a gated parking lot that I pay so much a month for, a monthly fee, to park in there. I don't have a reserve space per se, but it has limited access to the parking lot. And you have a little ID card that I've got, Del Mar ID card, that will allow me to get in and out of that gate. So it's been busted and not really functioning for at least 6 months now. It was just in January. I know we're into August, but I'd say the 3 months it hasn't worked. I mean, 6 out of the 8 months. Now, I don't mind telling you that if you pay for a service that you don't get, then that makes me a little bit mad. Okay? So now I'm going to film this on the 18th. This is the 18th of August. And as of the 13th, when I filmed that parking spot was secured finally. Now, we had a mold problem in the building across from mine. I'm in the Garcia Science Building, and that parking lot services the Garcia Science Building faculty and staff, the Coles Center, Solomon Coles Building, the administration building, Heldenfels, and the Buddy Benner's business building. All of the faculty members and staff in there. I think, you know, a number of them, a large number, pay the monthly fee to have that gated parking lot. Now, granted, that thing is not half full most of the time, and I have indicated to the president at one time that what he should do is let each faculty member that pays for a parking space out there pick a top student for a semester and allow them access to the parking. And all they'd have to do is number about 30 or 40 parking spaces out there. And that would work out pretty well. Now, since we've had a drastic decrease in student population enrollment over the past several years, then the parking lots all over campus are not full. And I remember many years ago when we had 13,000 students, and most of those were full-time students or part-timers that drove to campus, then those parking lots would get pretty full. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay, the enrollment's not there. In fact, I think at last count, the full-time students number just under 3,000 at Del Mar College. And we have an awful lot of off-campus dual credit courses going, and they count those students also. And that's a different story on the adage that's been preached that we're bursting at the seams with enrollment with students. So I just want to dispel that notion. All right, now, as far as the parking goes, what I did was the Benner's building across the way from me on the other side of the parking lot had some severe AC problems as far as mold in the ductwork and stuff, and that's another story for another day after I order the final air quality control and studies for that one. So let's see what happens when you're ripping massive numbers of AC ducts out. And I think one of the shots I showed you was of those large dumpsters out there that they're putting those ducts in, contaminated ducts, and we've got fiberglass insulation out of those ducts blowing everywhere all over campus. And I think I filmed that at the beginning of the show, and that's what that was about. Now, in order to have those service people in and out, that's one thing that has been said is the reason that the gates were not in operation, was to allow the contractors in and out at will. Now that let an awful lot of non-fee paying faculty, staff, and a bunch of students to roam back and forth through there. The students speed like the dickens on campus. And you know, I noticed that the number of dings and the automobiles for the people that paid for that parking lot went up exponentially, because students are in there and they're banging the doors into each other and into the faculty and staff spots. Now, there are only 3, I think, of those parking spaces that are tagged as being private. There's one for the president right outside the door of the Heldenfels building. There's one for the CFO, our chief financial officer, and there's one for the vice president of instruction / provost. And those are the only 3 that were numbered. The rest of us, you know, I mean, we had not a problem when the gate worked, but when you get going with that thing, then you've got high volume traffic in and out of that. So I'm bringing this up to tell you that I'll give you the sequence of emails. Now, I got tired of it when I went in there and had people parking all over the place, and like I say, the other faculty members are starting to get a little antsy with it, and I guess I'm the one that a lot of people turn to ask questions, because I'm not afraid of that administration, okay? And I don't mind asking questions if things are not right, as a lot of people have come to find out, okay? I'm too old to worry about being afraid of anything, folks, okay? The only thing I've ever been afraid of in my life was to just, you know, embarrass my family, wife and family. Anything else, it doesn't bother me, okay? I'm not afraid of anything. Okay, now, so this was back on August the 6th when I'd had enough of it, and I had many of the faculty members that were paying fees over there ask why we're still paying when it's an open parking lot, students and staff and other people that had not paid fees running in and out of there. So here's what I wrote. Now, since the man in charge of the deduction from my paycheck for the fees for that is the CFO over there, the chief financial officer, one Dr. Lee Sloan, then I decided I would just write him. Now, I did send this out to all the DMC people. So that goes out to all the workers, all the faculty members, all the students, and everything else. Anybody that's on that the Del Mar College email system, okay? So I said, Dr. Sloan, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you if the monthly fee that I have been paying for access to the parking lot between the Venters building and the Garcia Science building is still being taken out of my paycheck? Question mark. Okay, I think that's a valid question. Has it been taken out during the past 6 months that the security gate has not or has been out of order? Question mark. Are you charging all the people, students, etc., who are currently using the parking lot? That means everybody that's not in there that normally would be paying fees for it if the gate were working. I'm not the only employee that would rather have the money for my purposes rather than placed in some black hole somewhere. Are there provisions in place for reimbursement? Question mark. Thank you in advance for your prompt reply. Okay. Now, I didn't get anything back. So on August the 7th, okay, I said, I realize that it is a standard practice for the Del Mar College administration to totally ignore questions asked of them by lowly faculty and staff employees. However, I believe that in the attached email I asked some legitimate questions of you, since you are the college's chief financial officer. Okay? Therefore, let me attempt to obtain answers in a timely manner one more time. I hereby respectfully request that you answer these questions this time. Okay? So, number one, I asked during the past 6 months that the security gate on the parking lot between the Vendors Building and Garcia Science Building has not been working. Has Del Mar College taken a fee for my use of the lot out of my paycheck? Yes or no? Real simple answers. Have any other faculty or staff employees had fees taken from their paychecks for the use of said parking lot? Yes or no? Well, I know there are a great number of them that were concerned about that, and so the answer should have been yes. But I left it up to Dr. Sloan. 3, are there any provisions in place to reimburse me for the parking lot fees that the Del Mar College or that Del Mar College has deducted from my paychecks over the past 6 months? Yes or no? Do I get my money back? Okay. Are other faculty and staff members going to be reimbursed for any parking lot fees that Del Mar College has taken from their paychecks over the past 6 months? Yes or no? Okay. Then I put in a little barb here. I said I would like to state for the record that I would much rather have the fees reimbursed to me in order for me to purchase a 1.75 liter bottle of 101 proof Wild Turkey bourbon than to have them lost in a black hole called the Del Mar College General Fund. Okay? Thank you very much in advance for your prompt reply to my questions. Respectfully. No response. Okay? So then what I did was I wrote the following. Okay? I said and asked for, Dr. Escamilla, that's the president, I have sincerely attempted to communicate with our Del Mar College Chief Financial Officer concerning the fees that have been paid by many Del Mar College employees for services that have not been rendered. Specifically, I'm addressing the monthly fees that have been paid by a large number of employees for a secure parking lot between the Vendors Building and Garcia Science Building. Okay? I think that is the same parking lot that you and a large number of administrators utilize on a daily basis. Do you pay a monthly fee for your reserved parking spot? Does our Chief Financial Officer or our Interim Vice President of Instruction / Provost pay fees for parking in their reserved spots? At the risk of having my office door lock changed, and that's another barb, a very dear friend of mine, the head of the Social Sciences Department, got a little crossways with Del Mar College, so they just went and locked him out of his office early January morning, just before the spring semester started, and didn't bother to tell him that they were going to lock him out and get rid of him. Okay, but anyway, at the risk of having my office door lock changed, that's the consequence, I am hereby requesting that you answer the questions that I posed to Dr. Sloan on 2 occasions. Obviously, he is too important to qualify the lowly request of us common employees. Why do you administrators have such a problem with answering the valid questions of us lowly faculty members and staff employees? I personally consider the collection of fees of an insecure parking lot as a theft of services. Looking forward to a timely response. Now, to give Dr. Escamilla his due, he did respond and said he would look into it. And that's about the end of the 2-sentence email that I got from him. Okay? Now, I sent this to Dr. Escamilla on August the 12th. See, there's a gap between the 8th and the 12th there, or the 7th and the 12th, about 5 days it seems like, if my math is correct. Okay? Now, after I triggered that one, then, and I just wanted to find out what was going on. Then rather than email me, Dr. Sloan on the 13th decided that he would go ahead and email a person, and knowing that that would get back to me. Okay, that person had asked about it too. So that was another faculty member. Okay, now, so I'm not going to name that person, but here's the email that was forwarded to me. I have not responded to Dr. Sansing's emails, given that his communications about reserved parking have been through DMC all. Now, I ask you folks, what has that got to do with it? Can't you answer the simple question? Dr. Sloan, you know, I don't know if you're embarrassed or whether your ego is just so big that you don't have to answer to anybody. And I think it's probably the latter. I have responded to each of the faculty staff who have contacted the office directly and explained that the parking gates had been left open to accommodate the numerous contractors who were working day and night to make repairs in the vendor's business building before the start of the fall term. Okay? We placed 2 storage containers within the parking area so that we could accelerate the construction process by having construction supplies readily available to the crews performing the work. Although a few individuals may have parked within the reserved parking area during this period without having paid for the reserved parking, about half of the parking spaces in this lot have been vacant. No faculty or staff who paid for reserved parking have been denied a reserved parking space or even had difficulty finding a space. When the Heldenfels building is converted to a student enrollment center in 2019, a different reserved parking arrangement will have to be developed for this location that allows student access to the Heldenfels building. I hope that faculty council and the other employee councils will be active participants in this discussion. If you have concerns or questions, please contact me. Now let me tell you what my problem is with that. And I know that Dr. Sloan watches this, okay? I am fed up to my eyeballs, okay, with the arrogance of the Del Mar College administration. Now, not all of them, but a large enough number to concern me. Okay. Now, let me tell you what happened. When I sent that August 6th request for fees to be discussed, that went out at 12:03 p.m., noon plus 3 minutes. Okay. And it's my understanding that by 1 o'clock, those gates were working again. Okay? So, what was the change in heart there? Is that what you have to do, is to wait for somebody to get a little bit perturbed and ask questions about why you're ripping us off with the fees to get the thing done? Now, the construction was still going on. So there was no problem with those workers getting in and out or hauling out any of that other stuff. There are big barricades over there that can be moved, plastic ones, if you have a big load coming in and out of that parking lot. You don't have to use that gate if the equipment's too big. Okay? So, and then to tell me that it was for those repairs when it was way before the repairs were even initiated, the gates didn't work anyway. Okay? Like I say, since January, it's been one great big huge headache. And yes, they may have some spaces over there available, sir, but like I say, they're not reserved, so I had students parking all the way down the side of the building where I normally park. And like I say, then a lot of people had contacted the dean and the maintenance people and so forth, not you directly. So I don't know how many calls you got, sir, but I doubt that it was very many. And my big question is, why did that thing get fixed so quick, and why is it now not a problem when those workers come and go? Okay? And then you've got the workers over there spreading all that stuff out. You've got contaminated air conditioning ducts and blowing fiberglass and mold spores and everything else out of those big dumpsters out there. And I think in the beginning of this show, I said that I'm picking up some insulation. So I went around and picked it up. It shouldn't be blowing around the parking lot for students and neighbors and everything else to have to breathe and stumble over. That's some hazardous stuff. Fiberglass in the lungs doesn't do you a whole bunch of good there, buddy. If you want to find out, come take my anatomy class. All right, if I ever teach it again. Okay, so that's the story with the parking lot. It's it's typical. So just wanted to let you know what some of that film was in the very beginning. And then what I did was, speaking of parking lots, I get some other people that were fussing about those things. And I got one that says that the parking lot between the Richardson Auditorium and the building over there, the Memorial Classroom building, and you go through that little archway, the walkway between those two buildings to get into it. And I noticed that they did correct from reserve parking to reserved. And students, I understand, drive through that barricade all the time. It's a wooden barricade that comes down an arm, and they want, they break that off consistently, and nobody takes any, they don't take charge of what they've got over there and get those students out of there. So I don't know what to tell you. And then the condition of that parking lot, during graduation and all, folks, people walk by those parking lots all the time, and they're a disaster, particularly the one that I mentioned between the Memorial Classroom building and the Richardson Auditorium. The gate doesn't work half the time, and we have faculty members that are paying for that. Okay. Now there's another problem. I'll drop the parking lot, but I'm using that just as a typical. It's incredible. Okay. So I'll drop that subject right quick. Okay. It ain't over. But apparently nobody's going to be reimbursed for any of that time over there. So we're just going to have to tough it out. And we paid for a lot of stuff we didn't have, and I don't know where that money goes, because you never know at Del Mar College where money goes and comes and goes. I've been involved in a 2-year now quest to figure out how and we can write off $2.838 million for bad debt, and then we're coming back now in the middle of a budget. So last night they had a meeting over at Del Mar College. I was disappointed I could not attend directly. I had to come home, and they did not have that filmed as usual as a board meeting on the Del Mar College TV channel, okay, public access. So I don't know what happened, and then I don't think it's been streamed. So that's been a totally secret meeting unless public went over there and started talking about it. Now I was at the budget meeting a couple of months ago, where this is the proposed budget for 2016. Now the accounting over there has been abysmal, and I'm being kind. And they can't tell us where the money went, where the money's coming from, and so forth, because they haven't had an internal auditor for so many years. And they've got people over there, as far as I'm concerned, that a Doctor of Education, an EDD in agricultural education does not support the fact that a person is over there as our chief financial officer. And I better quit right there, folks, okay? All I can say is, what you really do need is you need a kindergarten teacher over there teaching human anatomy and physiology to pre-allied health and pre-med students and so forth. Now, as far as the audits go, in 2015, the amount that we spent for that was $43,557, because certain financial reports have to be written and the books have to be audited, and it's called an audit fee. Now in 2016, after the BS investigations, you're looking at the S in their Sansing, and Ed Bennett, CPA, Masters in Science in Accountancy and so forth, years and years of experience as a high quality accountant, got a hold of this and said, how do we generate surplus monies every year of $5, $6, $7 million, adding up to, I think in the last 11 years we've calculated that's right at, I think, $73 million and some odd cents. And where is that money? Okay. Now, faculty and staff and everybody else has been told that we're too poor over there to give anybody any raises and so forth, yet we can generate $5, $6, $7 million surplus every year out of taxpayers' money. Now, according to a document I have here, and I think I've read this before. It says, is too much budget surplus a bad thing? And I think this comes from Sanrini is the name of this. It's an organization. And their answer was yes. Do you know what it means? It means that the government has collected more taxes than necessary for their spending programs. Okay? The problem comes when the government then keeps that money, spends even more, and continues to expect those same revenues year after year. Okay? So what we're going to do, and then, you know, the only thing that I've seen that's dropped over here are legal fees, and that went from $325,000 to $175,000, but I'm sure they're going to make up that difference by hiring an in-house counsel, they call it. Okay? And then what we have as you go off, and you've got surpluses. This year, I think, was $6.8 million was added to the unrestricted reserve fund as a result of strong budget management and savings realized through the early retirement program and the college's reorganization efforts. This is what they have gone to the comprehensive annual financial report. This is what the college preaches. Okay? Now, I could read some more of this, but it just won't make you want to sit down and cry anyway. Okay? But where's the money, folks? Okay? I know that they spent almost $7 million out there for a floodplain piece of property at Yorktown and Rodfield Road, so they can build a $200 million plus campus out there, because poor people, the students around, can't drive to East Campus. I mean, it's such a long drive, you know, and commute, that if you have to spend more than 5 minutes to get anywhere here, then you are totally and completely inconvenienced. Okay? So, you know, we've got all those problems, and then I've got check records here that I'd rather not get into. I've got some other things to discuss. We've got the IRS levy. We paid IRS $775.91, and then Texas Comptroller Public Access membership and dues. We've got $100, and there was some. We've got Texas Book Company, $38,600 and some odd dollars, and then let's see. I think we had a couple of. Yeah, we had $7,210 to Dunn Weatherford Coffee. That's and Rivera, which is the board attorney, and then the $4,935 to Graves, Daughtry, Heron, and Moody up in San Antonio. These are the ones that are suing the college. I'm going to come to that in just a minute. Okay. Now I have a problem, and I'll just go ahead and discuss it. But let me back up here. Okay, it says Delmar gathers input on tax revenues. That came out today. $3 million increase pitched to boost pay and fill shortfall. Okay, now we've been told as faculty members for a long time that they didn't have enough money for raises and so forth, so we went without. That was after $15,000 a year for a couple of years for a performance bonus to our president. And then I think last year, the $200,000 something that he makes, they added another 10% to that. So, you know, I mean, $35,000 a year raise as president, that's not a bad deal, folks. Makes you want to go out and become a college president, doesn't it? Okay, when you can't give the faculty members a raise. Now it is in the budget, I think, this year to give a pretty decent raise to the faculty for a change, and why they've been this quiet about it, I don't know. It's nothing that I can figure out, and probably don't even want to go there. Okay, so there was a meeting to present this to the public. It was not aired, as I said, on public access last night, and with the increase in the tax rate per $100 valuation, and then what we have is we have the valuations of property up here going up. That's going to give them a big, huge chunk of change, thanks to the appraisal district that says that our property is worth more than downtown New York City, Manhattan. And so I don't know. It's all a way to skin money out of taxpayers. And since I am the president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association, I'm a little bit disturbed about that. So if you'd like to go over to Del Mar on August the 20th on East Campus in the Eisency boardroom let's see, it doesn't give the time. I bet you it's about 5:30. That's one of the few meetings they'll have at night so that the people can do it. I didn't notice that they didn't have the time marked down on this. I think the one last night was supposed to be at 5:30. I think it was published at that time, and I'll look it up, and maybe they just didn't air it. Okay. So August 20th, you may want to call Del Mar College switchboard at 698. That's area code 361-896. 698-1200, and ask them. Okay. And then they're supposed to have on August the 25th, I think that's a regular board meeting, it'll be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. August 25th, I think today on a Tuesday. This show will air Monday night on the 24th. So anyway, go over there at 1 o'clock and then you can see what they're voting on. And if you want to see something awesome, then go ahead and look at that stuff. Okay, so that's Del Mar College in a nutshell. Okay, and I've got all the debts here and public information requests that go unanswered and so forth and so forth. Now, I'm going to discuss just for a moment the problem I had with the fact that they've got this terrible jump in auditing fees. So on the 12th of August, just a few days ago, Dr. Mark Escamilla, president of Del Mar College, sent a email out to the college, okay, to the administrative update, which wound up on DMC All, I think, okay. And it says, over the last year, college officials recognized the need to revitalize and outsource our internal audit function. Well, we didn't have one in, so I don't know how you're going to revitalize it. Okay, I guess it's by outsourcing and paying $310,000 a year to a firm to do that. Okay, I would think it would be a whole lot cheaper if over the years we had an internal auditor and we could have figured out that we should not be having a surplus of $5, $6, $7 million per year and sticking it in a rat hole somewhere. Okay. Outsourcing internal audit services provides us access to a full staff of internal audit professionals with a wide variety of operational experience and technical skills. In July, the college awarded this contract to Weaver Public Accounting Firm. Okay? I'm going to look them up and see. Okay? So now we're after 10 years of not having one, and probably more than that, we're now going to bite the bullet because as far as I'm concerned, the BS Investigations group, that horrible group, Bennett and Sansing, have put the pressure on. Okay. Now I would think it would have been a whole lot cheaper than that if we had been keeping up with the internal audit system all this time. And then people could go to a file drawer and open it up and say, oh well, we can't find any information on this account that's owed for us, so we'll just write it off. Okay? Burns me up. Okay, well, I think I've spent enough time with that. Another thing is they're going to spend probably tens of thousands of dollars, they meaning Del Mar College. They hired that expensive attorney firm, Graves, Daughtry, Heron, and Moody out of Austin. Okay? And what it was all about was my department chair told some big whopper lies about me, and then got offended at one of my statements about a piece of equipment that I did not want taken out of my lab and put into the privileged ones over there. Okay, so I told him that he could go straight to hell with the privileged professor, and then that triggered it, plus some other lies he told about me, and the lies were backed up by my dean. So he wrote a disciplinary action letter. He wanted to put it in my file. I appealed that, asked for information under Public Information Act, and the college, Del Mar College, decided they would have the expensive attorneys out of Austin go ahead and request an opinion as to whether I should get it or not through the Texas Attorney General's office, the Open Records Division. And they wrote back, unbeknownst to me, and said, give it to him. Okay. Now, they forced that my appeal hearing on me without any of the information that I needed, because they said it was attorney-client privilege and it was contemplated litigation by me, and therefore the meeting that I requested, the appeals hearing, was a quasi-judicial forum. So I couldn't get the information that I needed to defend myself through Public Information Act request because of the pending litigation. Now, in the middle of that, they went ahead and forced that meeting on me without my information. They denied me that under public information. And then I said, since it's a judicial forum, I want it under discovery, and they say they didn't have to do that either. And then all of a sudden, as soon as that hearing was over with, and of course it was a kangaroo court, they said that the college proved its case against me, then they filed a lawsuit against the Attorney General of Texas for reconsideration and to have them reverse their and withhold all that information from me. So how many thousands of dollars, taxpayers out there, is that going to cost you? Okay? So that's what you get if you work at Del Mar College. Okay? You can't get answers. You're treated like a second-rate citizen, and you know, everything's wonderful at Del Mar College. And then I'll go on the city. Okay? Now, back in July, the headline in one of the Caller Times issues said that the city aims to develop a park, and the contractor's download plan for the Bayfront or Bayshore Park. Okay, it's not Destination Bayfront anymore. I've still got my signs that I paid for with the no Destination Bayfront on it. I'll close the show with a picture of my direct boss over there, the big boss, the chair of the Del Mar College Board of Regents, one Mr. Trey McCampbell, and I'll show you the look on his face when all you fine citizens out there voted down that Destination Bayfront boondoggle, a $44 million bond. Okay. Now we've got this. The city's going to take, again, surplus money from the park development, and they want to go down and they want to build the Bayshore Park. Okay. And this came out back in July, this information. Okay, and it says, Ronald Norris wrote this one. He said, we voted down Destination Bayfront. Now we have Bayshore Park, 34 acres. Smooth move, City Council. Fix our streets, question mark. Okay. All right. And then, you know, another one over here is about the roads, which is despicable. I'm going to talk about that on taxpayers. But they're going to take the $5 million overage, surplus money, and start building a park for you after they tore down the Memorial Coliseum, which would have provided 1 acre almost exactly of shade down there, and it would have cost about $1 million to take that thing and re-roof it and so forth, even if it was $1.5 million, and make it the centerpiece of a park downtown. But no, we wanted to tear that down. So our real estate buddies, you know, I mean, the city council is a real estate cartel. They're not fooling anybody, but they wanted to tear it down. And then 5 people, I am one of those 5, protested that, went and got a court order to halt demolition to see if we could get the Memorial Coliseum designated as a historical facility building. And then the city turns around when Carlos Valdez, the district attorney, and he sued the 5 of us for $65,000 when the bond was only $30,000. And it's stated quite clearly in the contract with the city and the demolition company that, hey, you know, nobody loses anything. Nobody is damaged at all if a court-ordered halt and demolition occurs, which is exactly what happened. Okay. Now, another thing we've got with Del Mar, I'll go jump back to that one, and then, you know, I've got some more on the city, folks, but I could go on for about 12, 15 hours on this city. And then Del Mar to make purchase. Regents approved plans for property. Now we have a campus. It's called the Southside campus, not the new South campus on 95 acres of swampland out there. But what we've got is it's at the corner of Costorix and Staple Street. It's called the Center for Economic Development. It's an old Albertsons grocery store that was purchased and renovated into, you know, a lot. It's a nice facility. And then out on the corner there is this old dilapidated gasoline station. So now Del Mar wants to purchase that and grow some grass out there and put in a marquee so you'll know what's going on there at the Economic Development Center. But this was August the 12th, and this, I think the board meeting was on the 11th that this happened at. Okay, it says the Del Mar College Board of Regents on Tuesday approved the purchase of property at 3201 Staple Street for plans to clean up the area. Okay. Lee Sloan, Chief Financial Officer and Vice President of Operations, told Regents the property near the college's Center for Economic Development once housed only a gas station and convenience store. The corner market property now is a cluster of small businesses that has broken down vehicles, overgrown grass, and old tires, as illustrated by photos of the area in the meeting agenda. Now I think I put the photos of that on film on one of the taxpayer shows, what's going on in Corpus Christi. An environmental assessment recommended that Del Mar College remove a set of underground tanks and surface soil on the property. Regents approved the purchase on an 8-0 vote, with at-large Regent Carol Scott abstaining. Now, I don't know if the Scotts, her husband is Mark Scott on the city council. I don't know if they have a vested interest in that or not, but that's one of the few times I've seen any of the Scotts abstaining. Jack Gordy of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association criticized the purchase as unnecessary and lambasted administrators for not providing costs associated with the project. Okay. Sloan said estimates for removing and disposing of the tanks, cleaning the surface, and demolishing the buildings are between $150,000 and $200,000. Okay. Now, the price of the property will be $550,000. So with that being said, that's still a little bit murky. Is it going to be a $550,000 venture, and that takes care of the demolishing the buildings and all? Or are we going to pay up to $750,000 just to plant grass out there and cure that little eyesore? Where's code enforcement? They could have had the owners of that rip that building down and have to renovate that property and remediate the soil and take the tanks out. So I don't know. Then raises top CCISD's 2015-2016 budget. Starting pay for teachers hits $47,000. And actually that's a little bit more than starting instructors at Del Mar College, full-time instructors. So what does that tell you, folks? We could, and they say that the reason they're going to do this is to entice good teachers in at a competitive pay statewide. Del Mar College has fallen below the state average, okay, with the pay, and what they want to do, this is my personal feeling, they are attempting to get rid of all of the tenured full-time professors and hire nothing but adjuncts and turn it into a larger version of the Coastal Bend College in Beeville. They've got a real mess on their hands up there, folks. Okay? And then, in addition to the Center for Economic Development, we have built, as taxpayers, a studio, public TV studio and radio to serve KEDT public TV. Okay? And that's right next to that. It's an integral part now of a large building that is the Center for Economic Development at Del Mar College, Costorix, and so forth. Okay. And then we've got, everybody needs to go back to July the 26th. I think I mentioned this. It says, "Some on council trying to fool us." Okay? And this was by, I think, Nick Jimenez. Okay? And, you know, he puts it very bluntly that our city council members are trying to bamboozle us. And then we've got the city, and there are a bunch of things here that the city leaders must be held accountable for a bunch of stuff. And then we need to slow down on annexations, which we need to do. And then that leads into the city looks bad and sad. Board here's growth input for the Corpus Christi, what is that, the plan Corpus Christi. And there are a lot of concerned citizens there. But as far as annexation goes, and this was by Robert Yobert, okay? I guess that's the way you pronounce it. Is it Jubert or Yobert? It starts with a J. Pardon me if I missed it, but please don't annex any more streets and roads until those we have now are fixed. Annexation does not help existing citizens, and it does not help those to be annexed. It only gives City Hall staff a reason to grow. When we've dug ourselves into a hole, and then pothole, stop digging. And that was one of the major philosophies that my father tried to get me to adopt in life. He says, you know, if you don't like the hole you're in, quit digging. Okay? So that's real simple. So I'm winding down, but just the other day, about a week ago, on the 9th of August, the front page, I think it was a Sunday edition, it says 20 years of growing, Plan CC 2035 aims for manageable urban living. And what this is a story about Bart Brazelton sees the future of Corpus Christi and a map of the South Side hanging in his conference room. Now, one of the most despicable things I think has been done here lately by the city, and they know that that's the way I feel. They annexed, you know, I don't know how many square miles out there at Chapman Ranch. Okay, it was a whole bunch of acreage out there in order to prevent a wind farm, using a bunch of bogus reasons for that, by the way, like interference with television and air traffic and so forth and so on. And I talked to some Navy aviators not long ago. They asked me about my surname, Sansing, and they said they knew my father from the Commemorative Air Force and his exploits in World War II, Korea and Nam, and then building the old fighter aircraft, rebuilding those in San Marcos through the Commemorative Air Force. And several of them have flown with him in some of the old fighters and so forth. And they said, "What's your association with Sandy Sansing?" And I said, "I'm known as Sandy's son. I don't have a name." So anyway, but I asked them, I said, you know, and they said, "Well, it may be bad, you know, if you lose an engine out over there." And I said, "Well, in most places that I've been with military air bases and so forth, you don't fly over places that if you lose an engine, you're going to get in trouble." And they said, "Well, you know, you're right." I said, "Thank you very much." So there's no reason, all these blatant stories about all the reasons why we shouldn't do that. But now what we've got faced with, folks, is we're going to have more streets with potholes. We're going to have more sewers that are going to go bad. We're going to have to put more water into the system just to make people like the Brazeltons and so forth a whole lot more money. And if they make a lot of money, guess what? The real estate cartel downtown makes a lot of money. The people that are with title companies and so forth and so on. Okay, Mr. Scott. So I don't know what to tell you, folks. This is just such a blatant sham. That, but go back and read that. That was on the 9th, and it shows the houses over here and vacant lots and how much money we're going to get. And we got thousands of people coming here every day to work in the oil fields. And the economy around here is just booming, and that's the reason gasoline prices are low, okay? And because the price of oil is low, and a lot of people quit drilling out there. And then we've got the street repair cost on the agenda. It's been on the agenda at City Council several times now. I don't think we've done much with it except sit there and wring our hands and say, well, should we pass it on to the voters and let them make the decision? And Gary Abbott wrote one passing the buck to voters. He wasn't real pleased with that. So I've got a couple minutes. Let me just read this one. This was back into July. The mayor, city council, city staff, and administrators, past and present, have been kicking the can down the road for the past 20+ years concerning street repair. Now they want to make the voters the ones to blame for kicking the can down the road. Our street repair budgeted funds have been siphoned off for the past 20 years and spent on, in their opinion, more important items. Okay? They have created a budget mess, and a lot of Corpus Christi citizens cannot afford to bail them out. They want the voters to approve an increase in their taxes, fees, and also approve issuance of bonds to borrow money to pay for street repair. All well and good, but I do not trust them. Amen, Mr. Abbott. Okay. You stated that streets are not an entitlement. I got news for you. Our taxes and fees paid for these streets and continue to pay for them, so we are entitled to have decent streets to drive on. Okay? I have a suggestion on how to increase the city's operating funds. Start by eliminating the staff, administrative positions, selling more city-owned land and structures, and getting more of the RTA money. I agree, Mr. Abbott. Thank you very much for that. Okay. And then just recently, we had the road funding to be put to the voters. That's what sparked that one. Okay. Now, when I discuss administrative bloat, it was just at the last Board of Regents meetings that one of the Board of Regents members, I guess, mentioned that. And the president and Mr. Trey McCampbell of the the Board of Regents chairman blew up and had a few words to say about that. So what I'm going to do with that in mind is I'm going to put a picture of Mr. Trey McCampbell up and two other gentlemen. This was on the front page of the Caller Times at the time that the votes were coming in for vote the $44 million for Destination Bayfront or not. So I'm going to go and turn the camera off, and then I'll end the show with however many seconds I need with that picture of some really dejected looking individuals for Destination Bayfront. Okay, I don't think there's such a glare that you can't see what's going on there. That was the reaction for the vote on Destination Bayfront. I really don't know how many seconds I've got left here because of the filming in the beginning, so I'm just going to let this play out for a couple of minutes.